So it's a Thanksgiving day for us. Of course, you'll get this the day after Thanksgiving. And it's been a pretty devastating day. So as you know, we've 26 chickens. And we got a variety of breeds. The latest special breed to us is the Brahmas. I'll try to show you some of the Brahmas. They're the white ones. And those are going to be our meat birds. They're really big. You might be able to see the rooster way back there in the back. But anyway, they're about 10 pounds each. They will produce eggs through the winter, so that's an added bonus. And then we got the Americanas and just different breeds. We've never had any real serious issues with our setup. It's worked out really well. As you know, we have a chicken coop that I built on camera. It has wheels on it. The whole idea was this was going to be a mobile thing. So it's got wheels here and it had a tongue on it also. So I could put it on the lawnmower and move it around the yard. And anybody that's been with me for a couple of years will have seen that happen. Well, after a while, we realized this just wasn't working. There was a lot of problems with it. We lost birds because they would eat the grass and they weren't eating enough grit. We gave them grit. They weren't eating enough grit, so the grass would get clogged up in their craw. I forget what it's called, but it doesn't matter. And they'd choke on it, and eventually some of them died. Others, you just have to sit there and rub it out. And then they get caught up in their gizzard, which is even worse because that's down in their stomach. So we lost quite a few chickens because they were eating so much grass by moving it around. You would think it would be a good thing, but it wasn't. So we parked it, and we hadn't had any problems since. I can't think of any problems since we've parked this. I mean, we've had some issues like the storm came through and knocked down this one run here. And we lost one bird out of that deal. Minor issues, nothing too terribly bad. And then the other one we have here is an IBC tank. And this I really like. This worked out so well. The IBC tank, they're cheap. I think we can get it maybe $50. I think Carolyn's found some for $25. And you can see that we put their roost here, just some sticks that we cut a hole in the IBC tank, run it through. I tied it off so it wouldn't turn on them while they're on it. And this has just worked out so well. I mean, I can't believe how well that worked. So much so that this is probably what we're going to do from now on. We're going to get another IBC tank. And then we have a couple other little places that they can hide out and lay their eggs that we bought from the store. I don't know, those are okay. And it's really good when we got little baby chickens, these store-bought ones. They can go in there and they're isolated from the bigger chickens. And this whole thing has been really flexible for us. We can partition it off so the baby chickens can stay on one side of the chicken run, the IBC tank, and then the other side they can have the adults over there. That way nobody's getting beat up by the big chickens. And I don't know, this has just worked out really fantastic. And then we have this little covering for their daytime sleeping. This is a little coroplast building I made, propped it up. They go up underneath there and it keeps them out of the wind and they feel extra protection, I guess. They like that. And they always use it. Today they haven't used it. It's kind of odd because it's raining. And so I've really enjoyed this setup. It's a nice setup. We have it covered because we have lots of birds of prey around here. Eagles specifically. I mean, we got turkey buzzards and all those things also, which are just as dangerous, but those eagles will pick up a chicken. Whereas the turkey buzzard, they would have to do it on the ground. You know, the hawks, they're just not big enough to pick up a chicken, I don't think. But those eagles, they're huge. The bald eagles is what they are. Now, of course, we live close to a lake, so they hang out by the lake. But boy, if there's something dead around here, man, those eagles, they just soar around here, hide out in the trees. Oh, it's just beautiful. We don't want the chickens to be harmed by the eagles, so we cover it. And I tell you, I get a lot of criticism about how we raise our chickens. You need to free range them. I would love to free range them. Yes, I know it would be great. They'd get lots of food and bugs and all kinds of neat stuff, but we'd lose a ton of them over time. Now, when we first got the chickens, we had some minor issues with neighboring dogs. About a mile down the road, there's a bunch of dogs down there, and then they were getting loose. When the pen was still being able to move around, Carolyn came down. She was holding one of the chickens. She had a little favorite one, and one of those dogs came over and pushed Carolyn back. Well, Carolyn let go of the chicken so she could catch her balance so she didn't fall. And I tell you, that dog just ripped that chicken up, took it. You'll all remember that, I'm sure. Well, we've resolved that with the neighbors. Went down there, addressed it with them. They knew they got caught because the dog took the chicken down their property. All they do is follow the feathers all the way down to their home. Got that resolved, and we haven't really had any issues. We had a fox here once, we got rid of him. We had a bobcat here once, we got rid of him. They didn't hurt any of the chickens. I feel like we had a pretty good thing going on here. Well, last night, it all came to a head, I guess. My subscribers, when I built this, were very upset that I didn't put windows in it for ventilation in the summertime. I really didn't want to. I felt like with the metal is very reflective, and it doesn't get very hot in there. It basically is the same temperature as it is outside the coop. But they were so adamant that we had to have windows that I cut out windows. And I put PVC. This is the same stuff I use on my porch roof. And then I've got behind it some hardware cloth, which is this stuff here. Doesn't rip for anything. And then I also had some chicken wire. So I had 3 layers of protection in the window. My big concern was bears. We've just started getting bears in the area. And they've been posting pictures on Facebook. Hey, there's a bear over by Dollar General, you know, just all kinds of different things. And so the latest bear sighting was about 3 miles away from us. And I was hugely concerned that we were going to get a bear with these windows. I felt like, don't get me wrong, I felt like a bear could get through this, but I felt like if there was a bear down here trying to get through this alone without the windows, we would probably hear it. I'd be able to scare them away. It's late fall. The bears are probably hibernating by now, so I didn't have any concerns that we're going to have problems. Well, I guess I was wrong. Last night, something busted through this window over here. Of course, I got this metal on it now and just ripped that apart. Got through the hardware cloth and the chicken wire and got in there. We had 9 chickens in there and 17 in the IBC tank. And they got all 9. And they got all but 1 in here. And the reason they didn't get one of them was because we've got 1 chicken that sits in the nesting box, one that sleeps. We don't know why it does it, but it's always done it. So the nesting box, you can lift this up, you can get your eggs out of there. She's always slept in there for some reason instead of on the roost. My guess is it was coyotes. Now, here's what's strange is out of the 9 they were missing, 3 of them was laying in the yard. They killed them. And 1, they actually ripped out its guts. The others, they just broke their neck and stuff. And there's not many feathers beyond the damage zone. So we got a bunch of feathers here and a bunch of feathers right around in here. But beyond that, there's nothing. They knocked over several solar panels while they were at it. The window idea was just a bad idea. I should have just stuck with my plan. People are going to say, oh, don't listen to subscribers. But in all honesty, I have to listen to subscribers. If I don't, people are looking for me and trying to call the police on me. So I try to do the best I can. And, you know, I try to grow a channel, so I try to respect some of the things the subscribers say. But that was a mistake. The thing that we learned that is so valuable at this is we didn't lose all of them. We could have lost all of them, but we had them separated. Kind of like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your chickens in one coop. This was a valuable lesson. We talked about getting a 3rd or a 2nd IBC tank, a 3rd building for them. Well, now that this has solidified it, we will probably make an extra run here, another chicken run, and that way we'll have 3 buildings. One of the things that my subscribers have talked about is, what are we going to do in an SHTF, stuff hits the fan, and something wipes out our chickens? Well, here it is. Wiped out, not half, but it wiped out a good portion of our chickens, and we're still okay. We're actually going to get more eggs with 17 than we did this last summer. We only had 13 producing chickens last summer. So we can incubate. If SHTF were to happen, we could incubate right away. We probably wouldn't incubate until the springtime. So my plan has always been is the incubation cycle. I really am happy with the idea that we kept them separated. Now, here's the thing. That was totally by luck, because Carolyn and I have been trying to get these 17 chickens out of the IBC tank and into the coop. It's a little small, and we weren't liking the idea that they were all crammed in there. They seem to be happy. Don't get me wrong, I am absolutely devastated that we got so many chickens destroyed last night. It has bothered me all morning. And the thing is it took me about an hour to figure out how the thing got in there. I mean, I'm looking over there by the chicken run and I'm trying to figure it all out. What time of the day did it happen? Did it happen last night? Did it happen this morning? Because I get up here at 5 o'clock and I open up the chicken coops at 5 o'clock. It's still dark. So I'm thinking, well, maybe after I opened them up that something got in there. Now last night, Carolyn heard something. Well, I did too eventually. I wear earplugs at night. She woke me up and we looked around and looked around. I didn't see anything. Nothing. We suspect that portion of the night is when it happened. But it took me an hour to figure out where they got in at. I just never thought about looking at the window. I mean, it was triple protected. Who would have thought they would have gotten through it? But they did. They ripped the whole thing down. It almost reminds me of a bear attack. They ripped the whole thing down, and then the metal portion that it was screwed into, which is all covered up now, was bent down significantly. I made a miscut on when I built it. And so I've got an extra piece I had, well, it's kind of still there. And they ripped all that out. There was a screw here that was holding it all in, and they pulled that out. It was massive, whatever it was. So it had to be a coyote. Now, people are going to criticize me that we should do this, should do that. We had an actual building structure. I mean, it was a wooden structure. You could walk in it. It was a designed chicken coop. I didn't build it. Professionals built it. It had been there forever. It was a rental property, a little farmhouse. Animals got in that as well. And I don't know, destroyed 2 or 3 chickens at that time. So I think it's just something that happens. And like I said, the fortunate thing is we didn't lose all of them. We learned a valuable lesson about keeping our chickens separated. Another thing is if we decide that we want to separate this into 3 camps, if one batch gets sick, another batch may not. You know, let's say the bird flu, you know, if that's a real thing. If one batch gets the bird flu, the others would still be healthy. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was talking about canning food. So I hope I can inspire you to get through the hard times so you can enjoy the good times when you're living your dream. Thanks for watching.